Hey Denise,
What's up, bro?
it's been a long time.
Man, it has.
Man, remember when we was kids?
Oh, yeah.
Man, God is so good.
He's so good.
Glory to God.
That's what Daddy used to say.
Always love you. I'll always trust you. I'll always need you. I trust you.
I've been broken and I've been scarred, but I got a testimony, yeah, how'd I make it this far, Lord? Just like Job, I waited for you. That's why my faith, my trust is in you, Lord.
Always
Always love you, Jesus. You're the friend that I have, Lord.
trust you.
Never left me alone, never left me alone. Always,
Need you.
ooh, I trust you, Lord. Ooh, yes I do, yes I do.
You see, I learned how to lean on God's everlasting arms. He promised He would keep me from all hurt and harm. When I needed Him the most, He gave me power from the Holy Ghost. That's why I lift my hands up high. I praise Him with my life. Always love you. Always
Trust you.
trust you, Lord. I'll always.
I trust you.
I'll trust you, God, with all my heart. I'll trust in the Lord with all my soul, with all my strength. Oh,
Step by step,
every step I'm gonna follow you, God.
faith by faith,
Faith by faith, you've been there for me, yeah.
active joy.
Joy in the middle of it all.
In the midst of it all, Lord, you've been there with me, yeah.
Oh,
Step by step,
step by step, oh, step by step.
faith by faith,
Faith by faith, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh.
active joy.
Joy.
Ooh, yeah, 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 yeah.
Step by step, always here by my side.
You're my peace and my joy, Lord, Lord, Lord.
Faith by faith, faith by faith, faith by faith, yeah.
Active joy, and to the very end.
Ooh.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
You're listening to Launch with Kim
and Dr. Newt
on Praise.fm.
Are we live? Welcome to
Launch.
Welcome to Launch with Kim.
And Dr.
That's funny because Saturday somebody said, when there's a lady rain, you didn't sing your song.
Sing my part.
So you need to be singing your song.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to Launch, you guys. We thank you for stopping what you're doing in your day
Thank
to
you.
join us. You can be doing a whole lot of different things,
Whole lot.
so we don't take it lightly that you stop to hear what we have to say with these lips of clay. It's an honor. It's an honor.
Yeah.
And we
Did
hope
you know you was rhyming
I was rhyming.
to say with these lips of
I'm
clay?
always
Let me find out he's a poet and don't know
always
it.
spitting bars. That's how the young folks say it, spitting bars.
Hi, Billy Stanley. Hi, Iris Stokes. Hi,
All
Katura.
right, I see I have Paul Day, Eric Smith,
Hey.
my daughter, Akai. She joined
Hey,
mine.
Scooch.
She joined mine, not yours.
Okay, and
She loves me more.
we're so glad you guys are on tonight. Joining us, as you see, it's a different location behind us because we are in a different location.
Right.
So, and it's nighttime
It's
here.
nighttime here, yep.
Nighttime.
So we like to just get you rolling, but we thank you guys for coming in, man.
Thank
I mean,
you.
Life is such a beautiful thing, something not to be taken for granted.
Right.
So we thank you, and we hope that we're able to drop some pearls of wisdom or something to at least get your brain flowing and moving today.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, as so if you don't catch the if you're not here live, please share, you guys. Share,
Yes.
and like and share. Let your friends know Kim and Dr. Nuke are on, and they're gonna challenge your thinking. Challenge your thinking. Remember, Launch is all about starting something new in your life.
Yeah.
It's all about you reaching inside yourself and going to that what I call Jeremiah 1:5, to that thing that God formed you with and intended for you to accomplish,
Yeah.
and then ordained you while you were yet in your mother's womb to accomplish that thing.
I like that form, intended, ordained.
Wow.
That's pretty good.
This guy came up with another one.
Oh, yeah. And you're doing things big tonight.
So that's what Launch is all about. And remember, launching something looks different in everyone's life.
Exactly.
So we encourage you that as you have those good ideas in your mind, and by the way, those good ideas, they didn't come from you.
Yeah, it's not just by
They
chance.
came from God. They were already downloaded in you. They were already programmed in your operating system. We just caught up with them,
Right.
you know, and are able to visualize them or verbalize them. So as those things drop in you and you begin to share them or begin to start to walk in them and
Yeah.
deal with fear and all those kind of things like that, we want you to understand that what you see is what you're supposed to be.
Right.
So you have to allow your spirit, man, your connection with God and your spirit to direct you so that you don't, go off course because of input from anyone who doesn't really understand
Wow,
that.
that's good. That's
You know,
good right there.
So that's tough to do. So we probably say that almost every show some way or another, but we want you to remember that. Your
That's
launch
because-
is your launch.
Sorry, babe. That's because that's what we're doing too.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
we have to keep that in mind. And as we say before, it's called Launch with Kim and Dr. Whit, because that is what we're doing in our life. I mean, we experienced some real new things that God is, a direction that God has
Right.
taken us in.
Right.
And it was surprising, a shock, but whatever his will is,
Yes.
is
Yes.
what we're trying to
Yes.
fulfill.
Well, welcome David Anderson, Pastor Dave. Thank you
Pastor
for
David,
for
thank
logging
you.
in. Thank you for stopping what you're doing, in this time, and we continue to pray for you, brother, as I know you are for us. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
But we want you to understand that your launch, your purpose is providential, which means it is specifically for you. What's for you is for you. What's for someone else is for someone else.
That's right.
So try to stay in that vein. One of the things I think is a good segue into what we want to talk about. So think about this. Sometimes you get this great idea, you get this great vision, this great thing that you want to do, and we don't always activate them. We don't always walk into those things.
Right.
Probably less than half of the time do we move forward in what we see. We can talk a good talk, all of us.
Right.
I know I can, right? and talking into this nice plan and sound all intelligent and wonderful, when it comes time to do it, a lot of times I don't. Sometimes that's because of fear.
Or discouragement.
Yeah. Sometimes it's because of past experiences.
A lot of times
Yeah,
past experience plays a big role in a lot of the things that know we have the ability to do, but we
Right.
just do not do.
Just don't do it.
Mhm.
Just don't do it. You know,
Worry about what someone else
somebody,
think.
yeah, what they going, what we think they're
What
going
we
to say.
thinking for them. I
Yeah,
heard
yeah.
Pastor Gwen used to say, "You cannot think for people."
Right.
You know,
Right,
and that's
you know,
so true. Not
know.
to think for someone.
So fear is false. The acronym fear, FEAR, false expectations that appear real, right? So, or false experiences that appear real,
Mhm.
however you want to hear it, right?
Right.
So it's not even real yet.
Right.
We just
Wow.
think it's going to happen that way.
We make it
Yeah.
real within ourselves.
We called it into existence, something that's not as though it is, and then we put ourselves on pause on what it is that we can possibly do
Mhm. Wow.
because of that.
That's good.
And a lot of times, I know for me, I'm gonna speak personally. A lot of times that happened because of past failures, poor decisions that I made, and when my life was going well, and then I just turned that sharp left, and just all hell broke loose. I mean, life went haywire,
Mhm.
right? And for me, that was many years.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't even get out of the cycle. I don't know if I wanted to be honest with you, but I just couldn't get out of the cycle.
Because it becomes a part of you.
Right.
So a lot of times we don't look at it as something we need to come out of. Once it becomes a part of us, we just continue to carry it out like it's supposed to be there.
Right.
And we don't always realize that the way we're going may not be the best way for us.
Exactly.
It just feels right at that time.
Yes, or some cases, I know I felt like in some of my battle or wartime that I couldn't even do anything different.
Right. Now that's another thing.
Just what
Mhm.
I was going to die this way.
Mhm.
It's just really what I thought, for
Mhm.
some time. So when that happens in your life, and we all have different, I'm going to say levels, variations, intensities
Mhm.
of that experience.
Mhm.
I don't know any human being that has it. If you are, you're
Right.
perfect.
Right. Iris?
So what happens when that takes place is your brain does one of two things. It operates in its functions.
Mhm.
So your brain has two basic functions. The first function is to remember.
Okay.
It's memory.
Mhm.
So we have a hippocampus in the brain, and we store little snapshots called schema.
Patricia?
So if you can think of an old school Rolodex with all those cards,
Mhm.
you got all those little memories on each little card. They call them schema.
Yeah.
For you young folks, it's like a hard drive.
Right.
With
That's
just
different.
you start going scrolling past with
Right.
all these pictures, right?
Mhm.
So that's how your brain kind of does. So it has a storage space for memory, and the other function of your brain is to imagine.
Yeah.
It's to imagine, to create. It's to think. What can be, what are
Mhm.
possibilities.
Mhm.
So remember and imagine are basically the two things.
Yeah.
So that world of imagine, it's gigantic.
Yeah.
It's unlimited. The sky's the limit of what you can imagine, what you can come up with in your mind. But that world of memory,
Yeah.
it's a
Right.
small closet.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little small place based on your experiences, what you've experienced and where you've experienced it. So you got memory and you got imagine. That's the two things your brain does. One's very small and one's gigantic and infinite. But do you know where most of us live?
It is.
In our memory.
In that very
We live
small
that small
spot.
space. We put boundaries on ourselves and we
Mhm.
live in that closet of our memory, right? So when it comes time, when God drops down and unloads one of those great ideas, one of our Jeremiah 1 and 5s that I spoke of,
Mhm.
right? Then we can't even move in that
Wow.
because we've confined ourselves to that little
box,
space.
that little memory box.
Yes, the closet of our memory.
Yes. Wow.
Right? So what we have to learn to do is what Paul talked about, and we'll break that scripture down a little later. We have to learn to forget.
Mm.
Forget. So if I was in the room right now, I would say, everybody say, forget.
Mhm.
And then I would ask you, what does forget mean to you?
And if you can, post it because we'd like to know.
Yes. So I know there's a time lapse. So by the time I start talking about something
You'll
else,
probably-
we'll see it. But if you post it, go ahead and post it. But what does forget mean to you?
Can I say hi to a couple people
Sure.
while they're thinking of what forget means? I'd like to say hi to my sister Webby, Angela Davis. Thank you for joining us tonight. Natasha Moden, Teresa James, Elena Carter. Thank you. Join Flowers. Thank you for joining us today. Lisa Anderson. My friend wrote forget. Yes, what does forget mean to you? Because a lot of times, the meaning of words based upon where we of the English language or whatever language we have is different meaning. And I'm
Right.
wondering, what would you say the definition of what forget means? So
Right.
please go ahead and type
Right.
in the watch party. Newt, you have some people.
So I knew she was going to say.
Someone says, "Let it go." That's
Okay,
Angela.
let it
So
go. Good job. Good job.
Let it
Good job.
go. Who do you have, Newt?
So I knew she was going to say that because she know her watch party's always bigger than
It's
mine.
always popping.
Why is she in so much competition with me? It's not even cold outside. I got David Anderson already spoke there, my daughter Kai, and Julian Coppard from Chester, PA, the bow tie guy. Guy used to make the bow ties for me. Right.
Nice to have you on
Right,
and join
right.
us today.
Thank you. So the word forget, let's kind of jump back in because you know my ADHD will take you all over the place. So who was it that said let it go?
That was Angela.
Oh, Angela. Okay, Angela. Dr. Angela or Angela?
Dr. Angela.
Oh,
our sister.
Dr. Angela Dallas. So we gotta get this right.
Get it
Right.
right, because she's gonna get you together.
With D3 drinks.
Energy drink,
Yeah,
energy drink.
Go ahead and post your
Tanya,
stuff in there so
okay.
people can know how to get your
Yes,
drinks.
if you have
We got
something,
four.
post what
So-
you want to post.
So we got like 4 minutes for me to tell you what forget means, right? So if you look at the English language does something with a word. It gives us a word so we can communicate,
Yeah.
so we can have put meaning behind some syllables or some sounds, and be able to understand how to converse back and forth, right? So, but each word serves a purpose. So it's not just for us to be able to communicate and mean something. It means something so we can do a thing.
Right.
So that do a thing behind the word comes in what's called the etymology of the word, right?
Yeah.
So if you look at forget in English language, you're going to say it means let it go.
Let it go.
It's going to say put it out of your mind.
Don't remember it any
Yes,
longer.
but you have to ask yourself the deeper thing when you want to kind of understand why are we talking about forget.
My
You got
forget
another
is to no longer that place of habitation, move out, relocate.
Because she was on launch.
No longer
She's on
exists in your mind.
There you go.
Come on.
There you
Oh,
go.
it's my girl Teresa.
There you
We've been
go.
friends for years.
So we have these things.
And Wubby.
So when we look at the etymology or the real meaning, why the word forget exists, right? Why do we want to forget a thing? We want to put it out of our mind because it might be painful.
Yeah.
What are some other things it could be?
It's embarrassing.
Okay, make you embarrassed. It could be some trauma related
Right.
to
Definitely
it.
trauma is a big thing.
Yeah. So it could be
Fear.
some shame, fear.
Worry,
yes,
doubt, all of those things.
So we want to forget a thing by the meaning of the word in the English language, so we can get it out of our mind.
Right. Definitely because of trauma. That's
Right,
a big
right.
thing.
And once that's out of our mind, we're
Right.
able to do what? We're able to move on, right?
Right.
So we forget a thing to create some space in our mind because our brain only does two things with 2
Right.
minutes left. It either remembers or it imagines.
Right.
So we want to not remember, forget that thing so we can move on and imagine what's next,
Right.
right? So if you look at that word forget, you break it into two pieces.
Wow.
Right? Good job, emptiness.
Amen.
You break that word forget into two pieces. The beginning part of the word for, F-O-R-E, is really the root word,
And
right?
we're talking about the root word, not just the broken word
Right,
that's in
right.
two parts.
So you got
Right
two
now,
pieces of the word, right?
For, F-O-R-E.
So that F-O-R-E really means placed at the beginning.
The
It
initial
means
thing.
it's previously ordered,
Right.
right? And that word get means to obtain. So if you look at the word forget, it means that you have to go get what has been originally ordered from you for you from the beginning. And the only way to do that is create the space in your mind so you can go get it and imagine forward. Am I making sense to you? We'll say it again. The word forget means to create space in your mind
Right.
so you can go back, recover ground, do whatever it is that you need to do to get what was yours from the beginning and placed in order for you to obtain.
Right.
So that's the word forget. We want to go ahead and talk. We got the video.
Okay.
So we put a little video up for you. It's a 50-50 that I do to kind of say what we just said in that. After we do that 50-50, I guess we're going to come back
I'm right back.
and we will jump into some biblical principles of why you need to learn to forget.
All right. Check out the video. Stay with us, guys.
I'm Dr. Newt. We're getting 50-50. The root word of the word forget is for, which means to be placed at the beginning or previously ordered. The word get means to obtain. So in our Fitness 360 journey, we have to learn to forget, to put those past failures behind us and clear the space out of our minds so we can go get what we were originally meant to obtain. You can start by getting up from where you are. Run, walk, crawl, jump, dance. Just do something. Get your 30 in. Clear space in your mind so you can focus on doing what you need to do to go get what you were originally meant to obtain. I'm Dr. New. We're getting fit at 50.
We didn't know because of the delay. I wasn't paying attention. You guys caught me leaning. So,
Hi, Shamika. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Tracy Johnson, Dawn Otto.
hey, I got
Thank
Rodney
you,
Blake,
Nicole.
Lakeisha Kirby.
Nicole, my new sister-in-law, coming. Rosalind Sype, Holly Beatty. Thank you for joining. Meekness from Arizona High. Such a powerful woman of God. Darwin Hopkins, Tracy Johnson, Felicia Green, my cousin. Hello, guys. Thank you for joining us, for just stopping by, even if it's for a few minutes. We'd love to have you. Okay, we're going to go on.
And Pastor Dave Anderson, I want to thank you for your participation. He said that forgetting something means moving past.
Okay.
So I mean, I think this was awesome. The feedback they gave, with definition of forget,
Right.
because a lot of people were seeing that they need to go back, clear some space, and move
Clear
forward.
that space in
Right.
your mind.
So we just gave you the definition. I gave my little 50 so that you can see kind of how we break that down real quick and kind of understand that, right? But we said we want to share some biblical principles. So we want to start with what happens if you don't forget? What happens if you don't go back, clear the space, go back, recover ground that you've already covered, cover it again more intently so that you can open up what's in front of you.
Yeah.
Go back to get what's before you. What happens? So Saul was an example of that.
Yeah.
Do you remember Saul? I think it was around the 15th chapter of 1 Samuel. He was supposed to kill, was it Amalek? Right. He's supposed to kill everything.
Kill everything.
All the cattle, kill it all. Flies, kill everything. Right? He kept some stuff.
Yeah.
And God told Samuel. Samuel came to see him. Saul was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I killed everything. Samuel was like, well, what's that sound that I'm shaking right here?
I hear.
Right? So Saul finally he admitted, and he said he repented. Right? But he said repent, and he asked Samuel to stay with him
Yeah.
so that he could worship
But
God.
I was gonna say, but he had a purpose.
Right? He had a purpose behind his repent. So his heart didn't necessarily change. Right? So
Something he wanted.
yes. So he didn't go back,
Yeah.
recover the ground,
So they can do the right.
so he could do it. So in essence, he didn't really forget. Right? So what happened was, in the long run, Samuel did go with him, but Samuel did go with him. But what happened was Samuel never went back to Saul's house. And he mourned when Saul died,
Right.
but he never went back to convene with him because he knew that he didn't actually go back and recover that ground. So there's an example. I think is it Revelations 2?
Yeah, in Revelation, I was doing some reading today, and I was telling Newt something that really hit me. I'm just going to read it because it's just so self-explanatory. I'm going to read it from the Message Bible. And it says, I know all of you've done for me, how you worked hard. And he was talking to the church. It was a letter written to the church of Ephesus. I know that you've done for me, how you worked hard, how you persevered. I know how you don't tolerate evil. I know that you've been tested and you've claimed those people who are not apostles. You've proved that they were not. You've even proven they were imposters. I also know how you bravely endured trials and persecutions just for my name. He says you didn't get discouraged. He said, but I have something against you. And this is the part that's so important, because a lot of times we're moving forward, we're doing so much, and we don't even realize that we're skipping certain things. But the Lord mentioned that I have a certain thing against you. You've abandoned the passionate love that you had for me at the very beginning.
Right.
And then the part that I really liked, it says, think of how far you have fallen. Then he says, repent and do the works of love that you did at first. And then I'll come and remove the lampstand from the place of influence if you do not repent. So to me, it was so important, because a lot of times we get so focused on what we want ahead of us, that we take for granted what's behind us, or we take for granted what's in our hand right now, and we overlook the important things. And in this particular scripture, he didn't want him to forget the values, the things that meant something, but he wanted something else ahead of him that seemed more important, that he forgot the things of God. And that's the thing you don't want to make space in your mind. You don't want to forget those things. Those are the things that we need so that we can recover the things that we're going to reach forward to get.
So it's two ways to look at that whole
Absolutely.
So there is the definition. There is the I'm going to call it the verb, the action of creating space, getting the memory out of your mind. But there's also the meaning, the reason behind the word forget, which means to literally go back and cover again the ground that you covered before,
Right.
so that you can get what was originally intended for
That's
you.
the four.
Right.
Yet.
Right.
Mhm.
So we own a home. Remember we talked about our house a little bit and how
Yeah.
we started off?
Yeah, so when Newt and I first bought our little house, and we were so proud. I mean, you know how when you get something that you've not had before, so you're so excited.
Young bucks.
Young, you know, every little thing we had, we put into it. We learned how to do
She was
drywall.
all up on me.
So extra. We learned how to do drywall. We learned how to tear down the
Panel,
paneling and how
put
to
up
paint.
insulation,
I
built
mean,
walls.
yeah, we put up insulation, we sealed the
Toilets.
basement, we did all kinds of stuff because it meant so much to us.
Right.
It was our
We
beginning.
competed with the front
We
porch.
competed with the front
My
porch
porch
to
is
see
always
who
better.
had the best decorations.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't
We
a
loved
lot,
it.
but
We
what
loved
we
it.
had, yes, what we had, we loved. But sometimes what happens is, you know, and we got to this place where we were so proud of what we had until we thought about something that someone else
Something
had.
was better.
Or people may have mentioned that what we are, well, that's just your starter house. And then we start to take that thing and, right, but in our mind, it was our house. It was our forever house, you know? But what happened was when you talked about that little thing in your mind, that little thing, that memory, that what happens is those words planted seeds. So then we started looking at what we had as not as valuable or not as important, and started looking to see what else we could get instead of appreciating what we already had. This was our first love.
Right.
It was at that time, not as in disagreement with God, because He was
Right,
always our
right.
first love. But this was the first thing that we established as a couple, as a family. And because we heard something that made us think what we had wasn't as important, we started looking
Or
forward.
we got a little big headed and wanted something better
Or
because we saw